Great. So we're on chapter 42 today. Nidaga's description of the greatness of the treatise, of its teacher, and of the grace of Shiva that bestows the knowledge. Do you mind if I start?
Please, he's very much bubbling over here. So
Yeah. Sage Nidaga joyously continued thus. Taintless Guru, in great compassion, Maheshwara expounded this extremely secret treatise to you in indescribable compassion. You, the reservoir of sympathy, explained this to me. I have gathered this into my heart as taught by you. My guide, by listening attentively to just one chapter of this treatise, I have attained the undivided supreme Shiva knowledge, the sun that dispels and fully clears the mass of darkness, Maya, delusion, that mystifies the mind. Lord, even by listening to one stanza of this, the bliss of liberation without a second can be attained. One who has listened to and understood even one verse of this scripture will obtain liberation which is non-dual. This is indeed the truth. If one understands the meaning of this poem, that all is Brahman ever, and we are that, there is no need to inquire unnecessarily into a plethora of texts. The knowledge of the undivided absolute can be attained by just one stanza of this wonderful work. Because the only way to understand is to be it, like to recognize it in yourself. That's the only way to understand, isn't it? I feel like that's what he means by understanding. Well, that's the only thing it could mean, because the mind can't understand, and it's beyond the mind. So it has to be that you recognize that truth that he's pointing to in your heart. So once you recognize that, so he's saying through even reading one, I don't know if he said line. He actually did say line, did he? Anyway, one line, one word, even. I'm expanding on one stanza, one verse, one line, one word. That's enough because it just means once you recognize it, even once. And I kind of feel like that's because, because what usually happens is like that we recognize it, but we go back to the mind again, back to the mind again. But I feel like it doesn't really matter because once you've recognized that in your heart, it's almost like it's given that which is your heart the power to cut everything in you. It's like it's given it some life. You're bringing it to life in this world in a way by recognizing it and choosing to recognize it. So even though like we can get a bit troubled, when we seemingly go back to our minds, it's really not a big deal because I love how I think many masters speak like this, but I was listening to Satsang with Ananta the other day and he was saying, you don't have to be troubled by anything in this world. Anything that happens in time, you just give it to me. I'll take care of time and you take care of just recognizing yourself. And I feel like that's so beautiful. And those words are very obviously from the self, and also very true from the self because the mind can't take care of the mind. The mind tries to, it tries to work things out and all, but it really just gets us caught up in a loop and gets us stressed out. Whereas really those words that Ananta spoke, it's just like, just surrender everything to me. And that really means it's another way of saying just focus on your self-recognition and that takes care of everything. Isn't it? I just feel like it's so beautiful. I might find it and make a little mini clip of him saying it because it was so very nice.
Sure, yeah, beautiful. That's gorgeous. He keeps all through almost every chapter, whether it's Ribhu or Nadaga, the mention of practicing the undivided certitude. What came home as you were speaking is that's not a mental practice.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same really as recognition because that's the only way you can be certain, isn't it? Is by like it's undeniable if you're recognizing something. Like if you, I know it's not maybe not a great example, but if you look at your hand, it's unrecognizable. Like it's like you have to admit I'm looking at a hand. Not really now, because we really don't know what that is in reality, but like just as a kind of analogy. So it's like when you recognize the self, it's not like that you're certain because of an idea, it's certain because you see it. It's your first-hand experience, your direct experience. You can't deny it. And in a way, maybe it is like that, that we have to recognize it over and over and over again. But it's not really recognizing it over and over again, because it's not like you're turning away and then looking back to recognize. Sometimes it seems like that, maybe. Like it's like you're not recognizing, then you are, then you're not, then you are. But really, it's just even to just be with that recognition all the time. That's the same. I feel like it's the same as practicing the certitude of, what is it, that all is Brahman. It's the
Mm.
same thing. It's a different way of saying it. And I think it doesn't really matter how it plays out. Like if it plays out like as if that you look away for a while or you get caught up in the mind, if it plays like that, and then it's like, back in the self again. Or if it plays like that, you're just in the recognition of the self all the time. It's all the same, really. It doesn't really matter how it plays, because it's just a play. But the important thing is that we are recognizing the truth. Mm. Because we can't suffer then. There's nothing to suffer. There's nothing to suffer here in the recognition of self, isn't it?
Mm.
Mm.
I'm just remembering opening my eyes after sitting for like a quiet minute after one of our meetings, and
Mm.
you saying the mind would have us suffering forever.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this before. I might have, but I play this game with Eshan sometimes where, there's a movie called Never Ending Story,
Mm.
and the music goes, Never Ending Story. So, like, sometimes I go, Never Ending Glory. And he says, Never Ending Story. So we play this game like as if you have to pick. Like, are you picking the never ending story, or are you picking never ending glory? So he likes to say story, because when he says never ending story, I go, oh, like tough, tough luck. Kind of, So he likes to pretend. And then if he says never ending glory, I go, oh, great, great. Because if you pick never ending glory, we'll be together forever. It's just, this is like I don't know what level he understands on, but I'm playing on my level of understanding. So it's quite fun. And then he's like, what does it mean? What does never ending story mean? And never ending glory. And I say, well, never ending glory is like the glory of God. It's like the glory of God goes on forever. A never ending story is that you're just caught in a story that's not real forever and ever, because it's never ending. I
Tough luck indeed.
know. And it kind of is like that. Like the life is kind of like that. It's like, which game are you going to play? Never ending story or never ending glory? Never ending glory, please. Still a game, but
Mm.
it's a nicer game. Never ending story. Not so much fun.
Seems circular, doesn't it?
Okay, back to the text. Only the excellent Guru, who naturally gives instructions in this treatise in this manner, is the real Guru. What is the use of the weird teachers who give instruction in multifarious treatises in diverse ways? He who gives instruction in this treatise on a lofty plane is indeed the supreme Brahman, which is knowledge and awareness. This is the truth. There is not the least doubt about this. In the name of the feet of Shiva, I say there is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily the incomparable Shiva. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily the incomparable Devi. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is verily Vinakaya. Vinakaya. Am I saying that right? Vinakaya.
Looks right.
Okay. There is no doubt of this. One who expounds this treatise in compassion is the shining Shanmuka. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is Nandi Keshvara. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is Dattatreya. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is Dakshinamurti. There is no doubt of this. Whoever graciously expounds this is the undivided Supreme Shiva. There is no doubt of this. What avails such verbiage? He who expounds this treatise without any uncertainties is indeed the Supreme Shiva, foremost among men. But for you, not one is competent in all the worlds, among gods and sages, to easily expound the meaning of this treatise in this manner. There is not an atom of doubt about this. True it is. I would say this touching the feet of Shiva. As the Guru who graciously teaches this treatise is indeed the Supreme Shiva, the disciple who has received such teaching without reservations should never do any disservice to that excellent Guru by any of the triad of means, to the extent of his capacity. He should worship him with wealth and other means. Is there any real relative apart from the defectless Guru? The father and other relatives cannot remove the originalist bondage of worldly existence. Simply because they give one only an endless succession of bodies. If inquired into with deep thought, all such relatives are only enervating enemies. The Guru, the embodiment of endless grace, will, on the other hand, graciously confer the undivided supreme knowledge and save one, scouring out the attachments that are the originalist bondage of worldly existence until one is spotless. Like that.
I do.
Until one is spotless.
Spotless.
Yeah. It reminds me of what an auntie used to say, not even a blade of grass will remain. It's like nothing will remain. Supreme Guru, even if the Supreme Shiva, the Supreme Lord, is the Supreme Guru, if the blemishless Supreme Shiva at some time becomes angry, the peerless treasure of compassion, the Guru will save one. If the Guru, the embodiment of grace, becomes angry any day, none saves that disciple in all the three worlds, or clears up his confusion. Therefore, it is only those who have fathomless faith towards the Guru, towards this treatise, and towards the Lord of all the world, the Supreme Lord Ishvara, that are fit to practice the tenets of this treatise. Others who are faithless fools will never be competent to beneficially comprehend even a stanza of this treatise. Truth this is. There is not an atom of doubt in this. I just think that's real funny.
Truth this is.
Faith and the faithless fools. Calling
Faithless
people
fool.
like faithless fools if they don't have faith in the Guru. To attain the knowledge of the identity of the individual and the Supreme, nothing else can be the cause except faith. Have not the Vedas declared that it is only by sincere faith, suffused with earnestness, that the worryless supreme knowledge can be obtained? The knowledge that all is non-existent, that only the undivided supreme Brahman by itself is what exists, and that we are, and that by nothing else can the undivided knowledge be reached. It's like you have to be totally ruthless. I feel like that's why you have to have undivided faith in this, let's say, or in what the Guru says. Otherwise, our minds will spin some lie, you can hold on to this, just this one thing. You can keep that. And you can't, it doesn't really work like that because you can't really just keep one thing, because one thing creates another thing, creates another thing. And also, you can't even just keep one thing. It's like we have to be totally ruthless and like
Hmm.
give everything. Or like maybe even just be willing to have everything cut away. And that's what these words do. They do it by themselves. It's like we don't even have to do anything. That's why, like, having faith in the guru, and this is the guru. Really, all these words are the guru's words. So it's like if we just have faith in that, those words, they do, they do it. We don't have to do anything, which is the wonderful thing.
Yeah, you just cut the root of
Mm,
trying, right?
mm,
No trying,
yeah.
no need.
In a way, it can seem like you're doing something or something by just remembering the words. Like, so let's say you could be in a situation where some like conditioning arises, like you get into some story in your mind, some loop, because that's usually the only thing that happens, some kind of ideas are gone. But then just by like remembering the words of this, like whatever it is, like none of this exists, none of this is real, all of this is an imagined story, whatever. Some variation of that helps us to, like, just by remembering that somehow you don't even really have to do anything, but it can feel like you're doing something, because if you're totally caught up in that conditioned thing, it can seem like it takes effort to turn to the words of the guru. And really, that's enough. So, in a way, like we say that we don't have to do anything, and we don't, but like, I think if you take that too much, you can kind of be lazy, and then continue to just pick up stories and continue to go along with ideas and saying, yeah, but the guru's going to do it. But that's not real faith. That's just kind of pretend faith. That's like faith on a mind level only. It's like, yeah, the guru's going to do it. And maybe even, I don't know, I think it has to be more real. I was going to say maybe even he would still do it. But I feel like there has to be some, like it said here, it said like there has to be some earnestness, which just real means it has to be genuine in you, not just as okay, the guru's gonna do it, so it's fine.
Mm.
I read the book,
Mm.
he's gonna do it. Which is very, really kind of arrogant, really. So in a way, there is a kind of a feeling like you have to do something, but the doing it is really only choosing, choosing to be with the faith that you have in your guru
Mm.
and choosing to be with his teachings. Like, so that can sometimes feel like you're doing something. But because you have that faith and love in the guru are kind of the same thing, then it's really like it's a joy then
Mm.
to choose to turn away from untruth. Mhm. Mm. Would you like to read them?
Are we on 13?
Yeah.
Only those who have clung to the compassion of the Supreme Shiva will understand the extensive meaning of this treatise. Those ignorants who have not gained the rare compassion of Shiva will never understand the rare meaning of this. Does not the crest of the Vedas proclaim that only those who have divested themselves of all, and who by constant contemplation of the Supreme Shiva have gained his compassion, can emerge themselves? Can merge themselves in the undivided knowledge? Therefore, only those who have clung to the compassion of Shiva by meditation upon the undivided supreme nature of Shiva, rejecting all in all sincerity, as set out in this treatise. That's exactly what you just said.
Mhm.
Shall acquire the imperishable meaning of this treatise, the undivided supreme knowledge without a second. There is no knowledge that can compare with the knowledge of the meaning that has been conveyed in this treatise. In all the varieties of epics and mythical lore, there is no easy knowledge to compare with the blemishless knowledge of this treatise, directly expounded personally by the omniscient crest jewel, the Supreme Lord, as the beneficent essence of the conclusions of all the Vedas, without any admixture of the multitude of yogas, enumerations, or discriminative knowledges, and differing meditations. The subtle, undivided, supreme Shiva knowledge clearly expounded in this treatise will easily be the result by an appropriate conviction, practiced in defectless devotion. This knowledge is easy to attain because there is no strain in the non dual conviction that all the appearances arising in thought are Shiva, all consciousness, and that we are. In this manner, the knowledge attained by this treatise will destroy all this duality. The knowledge that is revealed by this divine treatise will destroy all existence and non-existence. The knowledge nurtured by this excellent treatise will affect all the world, individuals, and the Supreme. The knowledge gained in such manner by this treatise will confer undivided, supreme bliss. The knowledge of this treatise, as explained, will arise only in one who, without a day's exception, betakes himself to blemishless devotion to the Sadguru, akin to the devotion to the Supreme Shiva. The knowledge of this treatise, coursing through the mind, will immediately cure all great sorrow. What avails endless repetition? This knowledge is the one which confers the undivided supreme liberation. If the disciple who devotedly listens to this blemishless treatise in the presence of the Guru does not perform faultless worship of the revered Guru with all his resources, that blameworthy disciple will enter for 100 births into the wombs of wretched dogs.
No. Oh my God.
Besides, he will suffer a
So
million births.
dramatic. It's like the
You,
epic drama. But that is life, I guess. It's an epic saga. That's the word that's been coming. More than a drama, a saga. Wretched dogs.
no, you don't want that. That's the end of verse 19.
Mm. Yeah.
I know. I know. Shall I go on?
Please.
If the disciple who listens joyously to the said treatise in the presence of the Guru decries the blameless, worthy Guru, he will be consigned to be bound in hell for numberless births. One who does not look upon the Guru as the Supreme Shiva after listening to this immortal treatise will, with accumulated sin, be born as a boar birth after birth, and be banished to hell to bide time there. Whoever is vainly envious of the teacher of this rare treatise, instead of pleasing him, will for eons wriggle as a worm in feces. The teacher who expounds this rare treatise is indeed the undivided Supreme Brahman. What shall we say of the egregious sin of one who is vainly envious of him?
It's okay though, because even a worm wriggling in feces is probably like they probably suffer less than a human. Maybe it's not like a bad thing. It's okay. Because these things they can like, it's almost like somehow I feel like religion somehow put like fear in people. Like you'll go to hell. And like, I don't know anything with this. Could be true. But like, I think I kind of feel like wherever you find yourself, I only know this as a human, but it must be the case for all beings. Wherever you find yourself, you're in the right place where you need to be. Like maybe if you're a worm wriggling in feces, in that experience, it probably wouldn't be as bad as it sounds like if you just think about it. And maybe you just need to learn something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Because just we see that in our human life, isn't it? Like wherever you find yourself, it's like, it's really just how you think about things, really, or don't think about things, as the case may be. But like that could be beautiful if you were a worm wriggling in feces right now. But if you knew that the feces was Brahman and the worm was Brahman and everything was Brahman, you'd be totally in bliss. Like it doesn't really matter what the experience is. So I don't know what the point is, but the point really in me is like I wouldn't like to uh, encourage like fear, any kind of like fear that if you don't do this, then this happens kind of thing. Because I think even if you're in that state of fear, you're already there. Like there's no need to um do or say anything to uh what's the word? A word that means continue. There's no need to do anything to continue fear.
Perpetuate.
Perpetuate. I knew it was something beginning with a P. I did. I swear to God, my mind now, but the word didn't come. But there's no need to do anything to perpetuate fear, I feel, in any way at all. I'm sure that's not what he meant, but I feel like when we read it, that's the way it can come off. So
Hmm.
that's why I'm saying it. Or at
Yeah.
least that's how I want to be in the world. I don't want to perpetuate fear in myself or anybody. So that's why I said,
Hmm. Yeah, he's talking about the natural result of what is it?
yeah, what happens if some,
Vanity, jealousy, all these other things.
yeah, and maybe it is the natural result. I don't know anything about it.
Hmm.
He's obviously wise to these things, maybe.
What avails limitless repetition? Only for those who are devoted day after day to the Guru and the Supreme Isvara, the Lord of all the world, will the knowledge of this treatise arise with certitude. By the knowledge manifesting in the mind itself, the magnificent bliss of liberation can be embraced. Those who listen to this with deep sincerity and profound faith will have all their blemish removed and become the Supreme Brahman. Now we're back on track.
Mhm.
Those who pursue this with one pointed attention, sorry, those who pursue with one pointed attention this treatise expounded by the omniscient Supreme Shiva will not have any attraction for any other treatise. What is the advantage of an array of words? Even if all the husk in the world be pounded hard, will it yield a single grain of rice? Likewise, even if all the works are gone through, the knowledge of the undivided Supreme Shiva would nowhere be in sight.
Mm.
Therefore, only for those who abstain from any treatises and practice the tenets of this treatise does the differenceless, undivided supreme knowledge result, and the undifferentiated state of liberation quickly ensue. There's not the least trace of doubt of this. This is indeed the direct experience I have had. How great is this treatise! How great is the guide whose grace confers this! Just there I had to remember again it was Nadaga. This is Nadaga speaking.
Yeah, thought it was you. It's also you, isn't it?
Sure, there's no doubt of this. It's good. that when I say that there's all kinds of love boobling oop, or do you know that I'm not teasing you a little bit? It's really just it feels good to put an accent on my term sometimes. Okay. Thus did sage Nadaga, on the strength of his unparalleled personal experience and by the divine guru's greatness, describe the glory of this treatise in delectable fashion in the presence of the guru, and abide in the bliss of the identityless nature. Thus Skanda graciously expounded this to Jagishavya, so said Sutta to all those assembled. When when we have the the this guy said this to this guy who said this to that guy
Yeah.
to all the assembled sages, it sort of underlies the the indirection, and it tells us that there's been so many
Mm,
thousands of years between the time this was originally recorded and the time
mm,
that it's being and now basically
mm.
that uh, it really adds incredible depth somehow,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like it doesn't really matter then about time. Time and space kind of become irrelevant. It's like these words were spoken, perhaps at some point in time and space, but we are still the recipient. So we are still the disciples.
Yeah.
And the disciple is recognizing that there's no difference between the disciple and the master.
Hmm.
And that's the whole point of these words. That's why these words were spoken. And we are a part of that. And whoever hears this, which it says in the text numerous times, whoever reads this, whoever hears this, whoever understands this, and that's what it's for. And it's not like there is no doubt of this, just like it says in the text.
I
So,
I love saving the last verse for you if you want to read it.
sure. It is the infinite form of our Immaculate Lord in peerless, joyous dance that says, the guide who explained the superiority of this treatise pointed out that other works do not possess the greatness of this treatise. To sage Nadaga, devoid of I-ness, strengthened by the experience of the great undivided state. Mm. Devoid of I-ness, strengthened by the experience of the great undivided state.
Hmm.
Mm. Great. So that was very, very pleasant and joyous. No, thank you so much for giving your time to this. And I really appreciate also giving my time to this. And it's very easy. And I'm really glad that life has brought us back together week after week after week. And
Me too.
seemingly, like it seems like there's not much time in my day, but somehow this hour can fit in. That's
Yeah,
very good.
I'm really grateful too. We've done some parenting on our side too, so
Yeah.
I know how involved that can be for
Yeah.
sure. Gets better.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think life just keeps getting better and better all the time.
well, there you go.
Everything gets better and better and better and better all the time. So far. That's how I've seen it to be.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I know I'm going to take this joyous vibe with me for certainly the rest of the weekend. We'll see if
Great.
it's still here just before we get together next time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Mm.
On the um, on the Yowie front, we
Yeah.
are still in search of the mighty Yowie.
Oh, yeah. Can I pause it?
Like,
Can I stop
sure,
it? Yeah.
sure, sure.